What is going on, America? Welcome back to the Savage Patriots. As you can see, once again, we are having a menage. It's not a menage. This is a
Don't go there
twosome.
with us like that.
It's a twosome today because Marlon has something to take care of, moving grand pianos. I mean,
Oh,
that's
jeez. Backbreaking work.
yeah, that's insane. The only labor I use are these right here. These I have to take
Mhm.
care of these, so I can't do a lot of heavy lifting these days, except for the gym, as you can see. I want all the gains.
Yeah.
But as you guys know, we are talking about the Minnesota shooter, Robert Westman, aka Robin Westman. But we refuse to use his stage name on his
That's a good way to put
because
it.
he's a dirty, nasty murderer, just like all the rest of those freaks that act like him that did
Yep.
the same thing to those other children. So today we will address him by Robert. And if the woke left wants to get mad, we don't care because you're not going to do anything about it but do a video or talk crap on social media. So here we are. What do you think
Keyboard
about it, Jay?
warriors. No, you're absolutely right. He's a disgusting, filthy animal. Evil. Literally premeditated all of this stuff, and you gotta wonder, where his family and his circles were when they saw the red flags, because I know they did.
Mm-hmm.
And especially his mom, where reports are now showing that she's actually in hiding because, well, frankly, she's the one that enabled that behavior for Robert.
Yes.
So
And
filthy animal. Filthy
yeah,
animal.
and we were talking backstage. I believe that parents that do things like this, that enable this type of behavior in children, to me, and as we spoke backstage, this is a mental disorder,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't enable that type of behavior. You might as well have someone that has schizophrenia. You're not going to go up to them and say, "Yeah, man, you do hear voices in your head," and that'd be cruel.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it would be cruel because when I worked in a jail, we used to have guys in there like that, mental guys. As if you never worked in a jail, there's a lot of guys that have mental disorders in the jail that come in and out of there. And we get guys like that had schizophrenia. Me being a new officer, I'd be over there trying to, yeah, what do you see over there? And they'd be like, hey, can't do that. It was like, you're enabling this behavior. We don't want to enable his mental disorder. So this is kind of the same thing. If I did that to my son, and if I told my son that, you're X, Y, and Z, you're a piece of crap, whatever, mentally abusing my child, CPS would be knocking on my door telling me that, I shouldn't be mentally abusing my child.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why this type of behavior is allowed or enabled by parents.
Part of me thinks that a lot of it has to do with how schools have disenfranchised parental rights, and then also how they've basically enabled that kind of behavior to the point where it becomes like participation trophy behavior.
Yeah.
And so when a kid says, and mind you, he was like 17 when he changed his name to Robin, the stage name, and his mom enabled that.
Yes.
Reports are saying that his mom enabled that, but like the fact that that if only this kind of stuff could have been prevented, and I know that we need to bring back mental institutions for that to happen, because then these people can get proper treatment, and then figure out how to navigate their mental disorder, because that's exactly what transgenderism is. It's a mental disorder. And I think when we begin to allow and affirm and be told that we have to embrace all this type of behavior, that's when we've met the slippery slope, which we're at now. So
I agree. But here, for those of you that haven't seen this guy, here's what he looks like. And as you can see, he looks like a dude to me.
very much.
Just like a dude with pigtails.
Yeah.
So, his mother probably started this type. He probably started this type of behavior or was enabled at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
Because kids at that age, they still don't really understand what they are. And I forget what age it is. I'm not an expert at it.
Right.
But I would say my son really started identifying as a boy at about the age of like 5, to where it's school age, where he knew what he was. I'm a boy, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So he probably was identifying as something at a very young, fragile age, and a mother enabled it to say, yeah, it's okay, you're a girl, you're a girl. And as he got older, it would just reinforce, 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 even though he knew what he was at that age.
Mm-hmm.
But his mind was telling him he was something else, which was enabled
Mm-hmm.
by an adult.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, and his mom should be held responsible for his behavior, in my opinion.
I agree.
So when it comes to this guy, though, I will go so far. Maybe Michael can be different on his opinion, but in my honest opinion, after just observing all the trends that have been happening with the recent school shootings, that have all been done by these trans, and I will call them trans trenders.
Mm-hmm.
They're trans because it's trendy, and it gives them the most amount of acceptance with the least amount of resistance, in my opinion. If I can put it that way. Uh, this could have been prevented. And there are reports out that said that that this kid that the Catholic Church saw warning signs of this kid. And if you want to bring up the report, the article.
The article or the manifesto?
Well, let's do the manifesto because apparently they all have one. So
Okay, so here's the manifesto. Tell me if we can hear anything, because, like I said, I'm working on 2 different systems.
Online videos show notes in which a person discusses feelings of depression and are scrawled on a rifle magazine, along with a series of erratic and wide-ranging political complaints. A law enforcement source confirmed to the media that the videos were posted on YouTube by the suspect in a shooting at a Minneapolis Catholic school. The videos have since been removed. Officials identified the attacker as Robin Westman, 23. Officials referred his name was changed from Robert in 2020 on the grounds that Westman identified as female.
okay, can we pause? Whoa. Okay, so I mean, what's there to say? He's not mentally there. I mean, a lot of that behavior is erratic, and he's got definitely identity issues. And the fact they changed his name from Robert to Robin, even though we'll address him as Robert because that's who he is and that's his name. Yeah, I blame the Democrats for this. I hold the Democrats solely responsible for this because this has been a trend now that Democrats have enabled this behavior. They affirm it. They fight for this kind of behavior, and then when stuff pops off, like a school shooting, that if you've seen the trend, it's all been these transgender type individuals who do who enter into a school and they do a mass shooting. And it's always been these kids, these transgender kids that have been enabled by the left to continue in their erratic behavior. And come to find out, apparently the Catholic Church wrote a letter to Tim Walz a while back, asking for assistance and funding to be able to boost up their security, and that fell on deaf ears. Apparently, the Catholic Church wrote a letter to Tim Walz. So, right here, can you?
What do you want me to do with it?
Can you expand it?
Where is it? It's not letting me. Yeah, it's not good. That's about as far as it's gonna let me go.
Okay, so if we read this article, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz declined requests from Catholic leaders for small-scale security funding for non-public schools, despite there being a record of a $17.6 billion budget surplus and the approval of similar grants for public schools, according to a report by the National Catholic Register. The Minnesota Catholic Conference, which represents the state's 6 dioceses, sent letters to Walz both in 2022 and 23 requesting that Catholic and other non-public schools in the state be included in the state-funded school security programs. The group cited ongoing concerns over school shootings, which that's absolutely warranted, referencing the March 2023 Covenant School massacre in Nashville, where 6 people were killed by Audrey Hale, the 28-year-old transgender monkey. There are approximately 72,000 school students enrolled in independent Catholic, Jewish, Christian, and Muslim non-public schools in our state of Minnesota. The Catholic Conference wrote in a 2023 letter, the exclusion of one sector of schools is discriminatory act against our students. And the organization asked Walz to expand eligibility for these non-public schools. And so, guess what? Tim Walz ignored it.
And I wonder why.
He said something about he's a whack job. We all know that, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you believe Tim Walz is a whack job, or 2 in the chat if you know that he's on point with his character and his mental faculties. Because I think he's a whack job.
Here's why. Oh, it's not having any sound. Oh, it's not letting me do the sound. But anyways, that was Tim Walz during the presidential debate, whatever. That's when he said he is friends with school shooters.
Why would you admit that on national television?
Because he's a freaking smooth brain.
In my car. So I could.
I don't know, but he's a little slow, right? So Tim Walz is a little slow. So he's saying he misspoke during that debate, but he said it clear as day.
Oh, easily.
Like it just rolled off the tongue, So, and at that time, we had multiple school shootings before that.
Yeah.
And for him to deny extra funding for school shootings just means that they want it to happen. Why do they want it? Why do they want things like this to happen?
So they can go after our guns.
Gun control. If they put in security measures to help stop people from coming into these schools and committing these acts of cowardly violence, they couldn't take our guns away because we've solved the problem.
Right.
but they can't. They can't fix the problem because their solution is to eventually take away all the guns,
Yeah.
assault rifles, whatever that is. You know, a gun, one trigger squeeze. They said it, you shoot so many clips just by holding the trigger, it just spits out all these rounds.
Yeah.
That's not true. So the same people that are trying to push for gun legislation and stop gun violence with assault weapons are the same people that know nothing about weapons at all.
I remember hearing one pundit say that this was a while back, where if you were, or was it a news? I can't remember. It was some stupid talking head that said that a semi-automatic weapon can go full semi-automatic mode.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the same people that are writing your legislation and are reporting on it. Like, y'all.
These are the same people that call magazines clips. One clip. Like, they know nothing. I mean, Tim Walz is the same guy that had that shooter going, you know, take out that congresswoman, whatever. Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the same guy. But we forgot all about that. We're not talking about Tim Walz and his dealing with this guy because his name came up and probably, you know, getting this guy to do the deed. So he doesn't care.
No, and I think that's reflective of the Democrat Party. I mean, they're sitting here talking about, you know, I mean, we're talking about the party that's, you know, just simply pro-abortion, gun legislation, which is an infringement of your Second Amendment right, by the way, and then they sit there in their ivory towers or their computer screens talking about how they care about the children, and you know, you Republicans and you MAGA folk, you need to let go of your obsession and your idolization of guns because you would rather idolize your guns than care about kids. It's like, wait a minute. You want to delete babies in utero.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
But they're not kids. They're fetuses.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, they're fetuses. I mean, this is the same Democratic Party, like I said earlier, is that when we come up with a solution by putting armed guards, which a lot of schools already have, you know, resource officers there.
Yeah.
But if you have an armed guard sitting in front of a school, concealed, and they just stand at the entrances of the school, that's going to deter a lot of these people from just openly walking into a school or shooting into a school to do what they do.
Exactly.
These are the same people, when we come up with a solution, that's not the solution. They don't want guns at all because in their little smooth brains, their little peanut brains, they think, well, if we get rid of all the guns, we won't have any shootings.
Yeah.
Then we say, are criminals going to give up their guns?
That part.
The criminals are never going to give up their guns. The people that want to do the dirt are never going to give them up. Even, I mean, I'm never giving mine up, but I'm not going to harm anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they want things like this to happen. That just gives them more to say, look, and it's always an AR-15, like every single time.
I don't get that. Like,
because they don't want the AR-15s. They're always going after the AR-15s. They're not going after the hunting rifles, the bolt actions, all which are considered, outside the bolt action, semi-automatic. My pistols are semi-automatic.
Right.
So just goes to show you they know nothing about weapons. It's just that weapon looks scary, and it can carry a lot more rounds than most pistols, but it's the same function. They're both semi-automatic.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not familiar with how guns are categorized, but the AR platform, that's a weaker firing capacity, doesn't it? Compared to, like, say, like a 9mm, right? Or
what, the size of the round, the caliber of the round?
Yeah.
Obviously, the rifle's going to go faster. It's the shape of the round. It's more of a piercing style round, but it is a smaller caliber compared to the 45, you know, or the 9mm. So they don't go as far. More, you know, 25 yards or whatever, 50 yards or something like that.
And aren't most handguns used in much of the statistics regarding gun violent deaths?
Yes.
But the AR-15 is the villain in the problem?
Yeah, because it looks scary. It looks like a military grade rifle. That's why.
So dumb.
Because if you took an AR-15 and put it next to an M4, they look exactly the same.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the M4. I don't even know what they use now, man. I've been out for a few years, so
Right.
they probably got something new. But they probably still use the M4.
Right.
So
mean-
they don't want solutions, man. Without things like this happening, they would have nothing to talk about. This just gives them something else to run on in 2028. That's all.
Well-
The midterms are coming up. Just gives them something else to run on for the midterms. Guns.
But that doesn't make any sense. Well, I still don't know how they can reconcile that with our access to the internet and what the Second Amendment says and all that stuff. Like I heard one monkey say that the gun show loophole is still in existence.
It's they run background checks at gun shows.
Or they don't.
But,
they don't run background checks. They don't run background checks at gun shows, which is the loophole that Obama talked about a while back.
You're not just gonna walk out of there with a pistol
Right.
at a gun show.
Right.
You're not.
Now, private sale is one thing.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know how you would legislate that, but again, that's private sale.
And they're never going to stop. Right now, everything's going so well. Is that this is the next villain? This will be the villain until it passes over. Like every shooting that happens.
Yeah.
Every time a shooting happens, it's thrown in the media 24/7. They don't want to attack the fact that this guy killed children. They're more mad at the fact that we're attacking this guy, or the right is attacking this guy for being a transgender and calling out the mental disorder. That's what they're more upset about.
Isn't that the point?
Yeah. It has nothing to do with the children dying in gun violence. It has more about the individual that committed the violence and his pronouns and how he identifies. It's the fact that people are going after that, calling him what he is. It's a her. You should respect her. Blah blah blah. And never mind the kids. Never mind that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Never mind that the children were shot at, in this school, and it was a Catholic church, and there's been multiple videos of people coming out saying that we should do it more, that these individuals should do it more.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that too.
Never mind that. It's the guns, not the mentals that are running out here saying this stuff. But it doesn't worry, because the beauty of social media, I posted it on X, I posted it on my other political pages, it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So, these people will be found because they're weird and they have serious mental disorders.
But again, that speaks to the coddling that the Democrats are doing with these individuals. It's astounding to me how their hypocrisy is glaring and they don't even see it.
But do they ever?
No, I guess not.
Yeah. Does the left ever see their hypocrisy? Ever? No, they don't.
No, you're right.
They will say something and do something, and then when they see someone on the right do it, they'll call it out. But someone on the left did the same exact thing. But when the right does it, it's bad. Looks like Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse, self-defense, took out some dudes. Yeah. That was blasted all over the news. They wanted to nail this guy to the wall for defending himself. This wasn't innocent children in a school getting shot at. This was a mob attacking him, and he defended himself.
Yeah.
People that wanted to do him harm. They was ready to nail that guy to the wall for defending himself.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, instead of saying it should be the kids and we should find ways to protect them more, it's don't attack the shooter because they're part of a protected class. But the kids, something bad happened, but we shouldn't attack the shooter because they're part of a protected class. And when you attack them, you're putting all of them at risk.
But correct me if I'm wrong, though. Wasn't he a white guy?
Yes.
I thought white men were the dangerous creatures in America right now.
But he's a white guy, but he's part of a protected class.
Oh,
not that type of white guy. Just the straight ones.
Gotcha. Okay.
Straight, cis, Trump, MAGA supporting white guys.
Yeah.
It's like you can't even take these people seriously, man. It's just like, what do you guys even stand for?
I don't know. And it's like their 2026 platform is going to be gun control.
It will be. Can someone say something in the chat to let us know that you guys can still see us? Because I've gotten a couple alerts. And I don't know where they're coming from. We're still on Rumble.
YouTube's running fine.
Okay. YouTube is still up. Rumble's still up. Okay, thank you. I see you too. Thank you. But yeah, it's going to be a next interesting few months. And again, this will pass over. The manifesto, they said he posted it on YouTube. That's the first red flag right there. You know, this guy's posting manifestos all over YouTube.
Right.
And the minute, you know, how they silence the right anytime we say anything. I don't know why they didn't see this. Why? Well, I do know why, because he's protected class. Maybe they wanted it to happen.
Do you think that's the reason why Walls kind of ignored the letter? Because we have the letter that the Catholic Church sent to Walls. Yeah,
I believe that's why he ignored it.
Like, can you bring up the what is it? The third link that I sent you in the private chat?
In the private chat. Well, did you send it to the Facebook private chat or here?
The Facebook private chat.
No, I'm having trouble with my Facebook right now. You're gonna have to go here in the StreamYard and send it.
All right, hang on a second.
Yeah, I want to see this letter and let people decide for themselves and understand that everything is happening. That the left wants it to happen. They're trying to distract of what Donald Trump is trying to accomplish, and anything that they can allow, things that could have been preventable, they're going to allow it to happen. And Tim Walz is one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Some chat.
So while you're doing this, let me go ahead and pull it up for you.
It makes me wonder if Tim Walz the fact that we dodged a bullet, no pun intended, with Tim Walz as our VP is astounding to me. You know, the fact that Curry Queen had him as the VP, and then you know, and then and then all of this stuff happened. So literally, this is what the diocese from the Minnesota Catholic Conference sent to Tim Walz back in 2023. So this was 2 years ago. Dear Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, we are writing on behalf of our respective organizations regarding the urgent and critical need in Minnesota to make sure our schools are secure and safe, considering the most recent and continuing attacks on our schools in this country and in our state. There are approximately 72,000 students enrolled in independent Catholic, Jewish, Christian, and Muslim non-public schools in our state. The latest school shooting at a non-public Christian school in Tennessee sadly confirms what we already know. Our schools are under attack. They're not wrong. In Minnesota, non-public schools, particularly our Jewish and Muslim schools, have experienced increased levels of threat, all of which we must take very seriously. Again, not wrong. The tragedy from last week's Covenant School must never happen in Minnesota or in our country again. We need to ensure that all of the schools have resources to respond to and prevent these attacks from happening in our schools. We also share our concern about cybersecurity attacks in our schools, and the latest nefarious actions against the Minneapolis and Rochester Public School reinforces that all our schools are vulnerable, if not adequately secure and prepared for these events. So here's where they make the request. We are asking for your assistance in making sure the Minnesota legislature enacts your budget recommendations of $50 million to establish the Building and Cybersecurity Grant Program and include all schools as eligible for funding, whether they're public, charter, or non-public schools. The exclusion of one sector of schools, as you know, non-public schools serve many students and families in need of services and resources, is a discriminatory act against our students. Since 2020, non-public schools have been advocating to be part of the Safe Schools program that provide funding to schools, districts for emergency response training, security upgrades, there it is, mental health services, and security resources. Again, another request. The legislation supported by our collective organization provides state aid to school districts, intermediate school districts, charter schools, and non-public schools for this program. Unfortunately, this program currently does not cover non-public schools, charter schools, and intermediate school districts, and it is a levy-only program for school districts. An attack on any school, whether public, non-public, charter, or another school site, cannot be tolerated or allowed to happen in Minnesota. We want to make sure Minnesota is doing everything it can to ensure that all our students are safe and secure. We ask you to include $50 million in the final education finance bill and allow non-public schools to apply for funding. Lastly, we respectfully request a meeting with you to discuss the proposal and our ongoing concerns regarding the safety and security of our schools. So they literally reached out to Wallace himself,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, I'm gonna pass. Imagine that.
Yeah, and because he doesn't care. You know what I mean? He's
That's
friends with
crazy.
school shooters. Don't you know? That wasn't a Freudian slip. That was him meaning what he said. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
my solution, like I always say, I've said it on this show many times. What these sheriffs need to do in these counties is deputize every citizen that wants to do it, that can pass a background check, that has some type of background in law enforcement or some type of background, military, clean backgrounds, and you deputize them. You send them through a little course about, law, statutes, policies, whatever, all that policy and statute crap, but the
right.
Constitution. You deputize them, they pass a background check, and you have citizens that are walking around that are deputies that can make arrests. Then they call the actual deputies, the police department, to come in, secure whatever's going on.
Yeah.
But you give them that authority so that they can react to any situation where if you're walking your dog down the street and you see something like that going in the school, these citizen deputies can react to these
Mm-hmm.
situations, and it's legal.
Yeah, yeah. I think
So
that.
for
Yeah,
for if I was a criminal and if I was someone that wanted to do harm or do something bad, you have to worry about a citizen that is deputized, not just carrying a deputized citizen
yeah.
walking around, and you don't know who they are. They could be in the grocery store, they could be in Walmart, they could be walking their dog down the street. You have no idea.
Right.
And that would limit a lot of this stuff. So I mean, there has to be a way, man. And schools are soft targets, and you can't have soft targets, especially in our schools. You have
Yeah.
to have the same amount of security that you have at these billionaire bankers establishments, the banks, the money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these children are worth more than banks, obviously.
Yeah.
But the banks are secured, in many forms.
Right.
Children aren't, and you can't leave that soft target open like that.
I agree.
And you have to find a way to protect it and keep things from happening like that. You have to look for red flags. These governors and these senators, these mayors, anyone that is involved when something is brought forth about security and taking care of these schools and they ignore it, need to be held accountable.
Yeah, I agree. I just find it weird that the left, the media, industrial complex, and even left wing senators and politicians and talking points and pundits are all coddling and defending the shooter. But then they're lecturing everybody else about how we can't spread hate. We need to be, we need to be caring for the kids and whatnot. It's just weird to me, the dynamic that's going on right now in terms of the conversation.
Yeah, my uncle posted an interesting take on it on Facebook, and he's a big social media guy. And he said, again, thoughts and prayers, man. Thoughts and prayers. You can say thoughts and prayers is a talking point utilizing religion to get the Christians and the evangelicals, backing you on your movement. So they'll throw out thoughts and prayers, but we need to take your guns. But thoughts and prayers, it doesn't work. Thoughts and prayers aren't going to work anymore. We need action, and it's not taking law-abiding citizens weapons.
Yeah,
That's not a solution, because there's a
right.
lot of us that don't mess with no one. We don't get arrested. We don't get speeding tickets. We don't break the law. We just mind our business. But we have weapons to protect us and ours.
Yeah.
And to punish us for I was going to say some person that wants to do harm to everyone else.
Yeah.
That's not the answer. So we have to find a way, and we have to find a solution. And I believe that solution is to deputize anyone who wants to volunteer that is fit, that is mentally stable, that's a law-abiding citizen, that doesn't have anything negative in their background. You deputize those people within your communities. So they're everywhere. Your neighbor, the person at the counter in the grocery store, you just don't know. The guy checking your groceries at the grocery store, he could be a deputized citizen.
Right.
Anyone that
Mhm.
passes the background check. This, to me, would alleviate a lot of this crime, because you wouldn't know. You
Right.
wouldn't know who's deputized until something happens and this guy lets it be known that, hey, I am deputized under the county of whatever, deputized by sheriff, and he shows his credentials, he's good to go.
Mhm.
But I think that would alleviate a lot of crime. This is what they used to do back in the what days? The Western days, you know,
Right.
when a bounty
Yeah.
was put out. Sheriffs used to deputize anybody who was willing.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that needed to happen. Just my belief.
So I have a question to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
because this plays into the whole we have a mental health crisis.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying that, well, the left primarily are saying that, well, and some people in the center right crowd camp are saying that that because we have such a mental health concern, that's another reason why gun restrictions should be implemented. But coming from the fact that we do have honorable vets who have the capacity to unload their clips and whatnot, and yet they do suffer from mental health issues. Like, how do you, as a former military guy, reconcile that argument that because there's such a mental health crisis, we need to have more restrictions on guns for people who suffer from mental health issues? And it's just like, I can see that, but again, vets also suffer from that. They should not be withheld from their Second Amendment right. So what's your angle?
I mean, when it comes to like veterans and mental health, I'm not going to sit up here and say veterans haven't gone off the deep end, because we do.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a huge reason why we do, and I believe that we're a little more contained because of the amount of training we've gone through, and we
Right.
know the capabilities of a weapon. We know what the damage a weapon can do.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of these people that have mental health disorders, a lot of it comes from media, social media, movies, video games. So a lot of them don't understand the ramifications of their actions when they have a mental disorder and they're playing these video games. They can't connect the dots between fiction and reality when it comes to committing these acts. Veterans, a lot of us do have issues, not to the extent as people think that, like they like to put it. But we understand, we can connect the dots because we know if I take this and I go out there, people will lose their lives, and this isn't a game.
Mm-hmm.
These people play a game, they've never done it, so they can't. Like I said, they fiction and reality, they don't know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the big difference. And then again, when it comes to veterans losing their Second Amendment rights, to me, when it comes to veteran mental health, not all of us are the same.
Right.
We're not a monolith because we've all been to combat. Some of us have seen more combat than others. I know guys that have seen lots of combat that are everyday dudes. They're just walking around minding their business. You never know. You'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
But you have some that have seen less combat, or usually are the ones that have a lot of issues up there.
Right.
So I said, it all depends on the individual.
Okay.
And you take an individual basis, but I don't believe, unless they've been diagnosed with some serious stuff. And also, in the veteran, the VA has control measures on that too. If somebody has some serious PTSD that's been diagnosed, they are told that they can't have a weapon.
Mm.
They get red flagged for that. But you have others that have PTSD, but it's not to the level to where it's messing up their whole brain chemistry.
Right.
They still have weapons. But everybody suffers from PTSD, man. Every single person on this planet has some little form of trauma or PTSD. So you would have to, figure it out. And it
Case by
starts
case?
it's case by case. And it starts at a young age. And like transgenderism, a lot of these people have some mental disorders, and that's something that's identified at a very young age. How we got access to weapons, I don't know. That hasn't come out yet. Did his mom have them?
Yeah, actually, his mom did have them.
Yeah, so his mom had them. Did she have them locked up? I don't know. 17-year-old. Who knows, man?
Yeah.
But
so
if he was diagnosed properly, which that disorder, that gender dysphoria is a mental disorder,
Yeah.
they should have automatically told the mother, like, based off his gender dysphoria, your weapons need to be locked up.
Mm-hmm.
Just like anybody in your house, a child that shouldn't be around, they should be locked up.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, man. It's case by case, and
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
I practice the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was going to go off the deep end, I personally would want someone to take my weapons from me.
Mm-hmm.
If I was there,
Right. Yeah.
But we have to look more into the mother, man. I think there's something with her too.
No, I believe it. I mean, the fact that she worked at the school,
yeah,
and then enable that her son to go through those behavioral shifts is a tell to me. Like, you're not a fit mother either. So, but that's just my opinion.
PTSD is a form of childhood trauma, not war. Yeah, everyone has a form of post-traumatic stress or form of post-traumatic stress disorder. This is the term that they give it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is different. And, one of my biggest pet peeves, basing off the comments, is when everybody puts us in the same boat. Like, we're a monolith. Like, I'm like some guy here, or I'm like some guy here because we share something in common. We're
Mm-hmm.
all different. All of us.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. So I think we're a little late to the game in terms of, this story, but it needs to be said because I've seen 2 videos about, how Tim Walz ignored the requests for resources, and the fact that then this happened is a tragedy, and we lost 2 kids out of it, and like 17 others were injured. It was just a tragedy, and the fact that I think the left went right to politicizing it, to me, is a tell on where they really stand on it, and I hold them entirely responsible for this tragedy.
Yeah, I agree, and Tim Walz should be held accountable, and that Catholic school should hold him accountable, because it was like, hey, we let him know that this was our worries, and he blew it off.
Yeah,
that's like someone coming in, I'm renting a place and it has gas, and I tell the people that own it, I'm like, man, I'm smelling gas in there. I think there's a leak or something. And they're like, oh, there's no leak. Hey, I'll take care of that later. And then my house blows up.
Yeah.
Who should be held accountable for that?
I agree.
So I think he should be held accountable, and I think he will be held accountable, knowing Trump. And I think
so.
Trump's going to hold him accountable. So hopefully that happens. And anytime something like this is brought up, I think any governor should take that seriously. Like, we need to really look into this and figure something out here, because things like this won't happen.
Especially since an official letter was sent to the office of the governor. Like, that to me is huge.
Yeah, you need to be more proactive, especially if you guys are so worried about guns. If somebody brings something up like that, and you're worried about the children, like you say, and you're worried about gun violence, like you say, be proactive about it. Look into it and work with the school that brings up this issue. Don't just throw it to the side and be like, we're not going to worry about that right now. Now something happens, and here you guys all are on the news and on the TV talking about how much you care now.
Yeah.
You didn't care 2 years ago when it was brought up.
Right. That's what kills me, is that this could have been prevented, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, mental health. I'm glad we're opening up these insane asylums again, and we can start, tackling these issues and getting these people the help they need. All people, not just people with, gender dysphoria. All these people with serious mental disorders, man, because it's not just these people that are doing it. These are the last ones that have been doing it, but there's been others that have been doing stuff like this. So
yeah, I agree.
We need to look for these red flags, because they post them all over social media, which they will post them on social media. And the minute that red flag pops up, you need to be proactive, go figure out this person, go find out what's going on up here to stop some of these things, because this shouldn't be happening. No one should be sending their kid to school every day worrying about some person coming in doing something like this.
I agree.
Homeschool is always an option.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Homeschool, definitely. You're in charge of the curriculum and what your kids know.
Yep,
Like, why would you not want that?
I agree.
So,
But anyways, it is Friday. Marlon should be back Monday. There's so much going on. It is Labor Day Monday, so
are we?
I
Are we
don't
gonna
know.
do a Labor Day episode?
I don't know. So I mean, you're going to be off that day, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk to Marlon if you want to enjoy your day off, being Labor Day. However, we'll play it by ear. We had the
yeah.
whole weekend to figure it out. Something big might
Mhm.
be popping off here come Monday, Labor Day. Again, I believe it's something to do with the financial system. Labor Day. I believe there's something big is going to happen. That's just me. And hopefully we see some change.
Yeah.
But a lot more is going to be going on. And I think we just need to pay attention. We'll play everything by ear like we always do.
That's how we roll.
Yeah, that's how we roll. Any
Cool.
parting words, Jay?
Protect yourselves, ladies. Having a gun is a human right, which means it's a woman's right. So, arm yourself.
Take care of your family. Look for those red flags.
Yeah.
If you run across something, especially go over to Reddit. You'll see all the sick stuff that they're posting over there. And if you see something that's a red flag, report it to the FBI. Don't sit back idle and just be like, "Oh, well, it's not my." Oh, I think we should do our due diligence, especially when someone's, talking about committing acts of violence
Yeah,
against another human being. So
yes.
do your due diligence. If you run across something, report it to FBI. It's very easy to do it. Just go to the website and report it.
Mhm.
And it's the way we catch these problems. We're proactive when these issues come up, not reactive. I can be reactive all day. I know how to react to, situations like that, but we don't want it to go there. But anyways, it is Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Have fun. Do something. Touch some grass. Go hug a tree. Meditate. Do something. Do something. Get out in that sun because we need it.
Yeah.
And Jay, take us out.
Like, share, comment, subscribe, and we shall see y'all when we see ya.
Peace.